August the 19th, 2025. Welcome back to your daily torment reports. So, if you're new here, we are looking for the two witnesses that are talked about in the book of Revelation, chapter 11. Also in Zechariah 4, as the two olive trees who are the two anointed ones who stand before the Lord of the whole earth. And given the events and the signs and the sentiments of so many who are looking for the Messiah, we know we're in those end times. We're in that window. And there are two figures who stand out amongst the rest. What is a witness? Well, a witness is somebody who speaks the truth, right? Scripture says that in the mouth of two or three witnesses, a matter is established. So these are truth tellers. And right now we have two truth tellers who stand alone in the world. And they both just happen to have social networks. One has one called Truth Social, and the other one has X.com. Interestingly, X is also a acronym for the Messiah. I'm not calling either of these gentlemen the Messiah, but I believe that these two stand before the Lord of the whole earth, speaking the truth. And with that, let's go into our torment report on gentleman number one, Donald Trump. All right, let's get going here. All right, Sal, why don't you read to us your report on Donald Trump?
Good evening, everyone. This is Sal from the Two Witnesses Live podcast, coming to you with our daily dive into what President Donald Trump's been saying on Truth Social. I've got a report ready, pulling from the last 24 hours, from late evening the day before yesterday afternoon and evening. Source straight from trumpstruth.org and at Trump Daily Posts on X for the freshest posts. Let's get into it. Trump was firing off on foreign policy, media lies, election integrity, and pure patriotic energy. Here's the rundown, clear as day. Starting with foreign policy, Trump's all about ending global conflicts. Late evening the day before yesterday, he slammed the media for twisting his Alaska summit with Putin, saying they distort everything he does. He said even if he got Russia to hand over Moscow, the fake news and Democrats would call it a bad deal. That's how biased they are. He took a shot at Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, calling him unattractive inside and out, a lightweight who's making peace harder by criticizing the Putin meeting. Trump's point? Critics like Murphy and Bolton just complicate things, but he's pushing forward. On that note, he posted about Ukraine's President Zelensky, saying Zelensky could end the war fast by agreeing to no NATO for Ukraine and letting Crimea go, which Obama lost without a fight. Trump reminded us he's negotiated hostage releases and ended 6 wars in 6 months, including taking out Iran's nuclear facilities. He urged a tough stance on Hamas for the remaining hostages, confront and destroy for better odds. Yesterday morning, he doubled down, saying he's settled 6 wars in 6 months, one nearly nuclear, and doesn't need advice from critics who failed for years. He blasted the Wall Street Journal and others for saying he's handling Russia-Ukraine wrong, calling them clueless. Despite the noise, he'll get it done. He always does. By afternoon, he shared details of a strong White House meeting with Zelensky, Macron, Meloni, Starmer, and other European and NATO leaders. They discussed security guarantees for Ukraine from Europe, with U.S. coordination. Everyone's excited about peace, and Trump called Putin afterward to set up a meeting with Putin, Zelensky, and himself. He gave a shout-out to VP J.D. Vance, Secretary Rubio, and Envoy Witkoff for making it happen, a big step to end a war dragging on nearly 4 years. On the home front, Trump's pushing election security and tackling crime. Early yesterday morning, he vowed to lead a movement against mail-in ballots and unreliable voting machines, calling for watermark paper ballots, cheaper, faster, and fraud-proof. He said we're the only country still using mail-ins because of massive fraud, and he'll sign an executive order for the 2026 midterms to restore honest elections. States are just federal agents here, he said, and without fair elections and strong borders, we've got no country. He blamed Democrats for opposing it because they cheat, pushing radical stuff like open borders and men and women's sports. Speaking of crime, he posted that DC faked its safety stats, but that's under investigation now. Under his leadership, DC's gone from maybe the world's most unsafe city to one of the safest, with people coming back. Beautification's next, just like the southern border, which he says is secure with zero illegals in 3 months. And you know Trump, he never misses a chance to call out the media and spread some patriotism. He hammered the fake news for saying hosting European leaders is a loss for him. He called it a great honor for America. If the Putin summit was elsewhere, they'd trash that too. He posted that a year ago, the U.S. was nearly dead. Now we're the world's envy. What a difference a president makes. He's thrilled about the giant American flags at both White House entrances, says they look fantastic and make a huge impact. He also shared some visuals, a deep state reckoning video late evening the day before, plus memes and images, including one just screaming, "Make America Great Again," in all caps. That's Trump's energy, folks. So there you have it. Trump's out there ending wars, securing elections, cleaning up cities, and waving the flag high. If you're not on Truth Social, you're missing the pulse. This is Sal on Two Witnesses Live. Stay sharp, stay faithful, and we'll catch you next time. God bless America.
Wow. Sal nailed that one. That's pretty cool, right? Pretty good week, actually. Negotiating peace agreements, hostage releases, securing elections. I mean, these are all good things. I mean, this is what I voted for when I voted for him to be in. And it's clear that God knew that this is what he would do, so he put him in a position of power. It was so fascinating to see how they attacked him. And it revealed the spiritual momentum behind the scenes. It's like in those evil thoughts that are in the opposition's minds, to where they lie, they steal, they cheat, and still God is bigger than them. Who would have known that with everything that they threw at him, that he would still be where he is today? It's mind-boggling. But that is the power of our God. He is bigger than all of that. And all of this was prophesied from long ago. This is happening in order to prepare for the Messiah. This is happening to prove, who the Messiah is. Jesus, God showed this stuff to Jesus, who he shared with his disciples. He told us before this stuff happened, and now that it's happening, it is the hard evidence that he is Messiah. Let's move on to our next truth teller, Elon Musk. And then after Elon Musk, I want to go through some little clips that I have, because Elon's a little bit trickier. He's the one I get kind of wishy-washy on. I desperately want to keep going back to Netanyahu. Like, I searched the headlines, and I search X, and I search Truth Social, and I search Israeli media, looking for him to speak on a daily basis, and he just doesn't do it. It would be so much in my mind. It just seems like it would be so much more biblical if Netanyahu was the other anointed witness, if he was the other truth teller. But he's just not as visible. He's not pissing people off. The Israeli people are tormenting the world, that's for sure. But it's just as an anointed individual, he's just not pissing people off like Elon Musk does. And Elon and Trump are the two who just speak truth daily. I mean, like the problems that they tackle, and the report is less informative than the videos we'll watch today. But man, it's just, I keep coming those. Just whenever, if you can ever get a chance to listen to him in an interview, he's just always dropping gold. It's because his signal to noise ratio is 0% noise and 100% signal. You'll know what that means in a little while here, but let's have Saul. Let's have Sal. All right, Sal, read us your report on Elon Musk.
Hey folks, this is Sal from the Two Witnesses Live, bringing you a quick roundup of what Elon Musk has been posting on X over the past day or so. He's been keeping it lively, as usual, with a mix of family stories, tech hype, and rallying cries for his XAI projects. Not a flood of posts, but each one's got that Elon spark, pushing innovation, nodding to nostalgia, and calling folks to join the mission.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's
Truth
jump in,
pisses people
sticking
off.
to mornings, afternoons, and evenings to keep it smooth. Kicking off from the evening prior, Elon gave a nod to Grok's growing popularity on X. He quoted a post showing Grok climbing the charts in the productivity category, rocking a 4.9-star rating with over 500,000 reviews, edging out Google Gemini's 4.8. His comment? A cool, not bad for now. You can hear the smirk. Grok's making waves, and he's loving it. Come early morning, he spotlighted some stunning creations from the Grok Imagine fans community. Quoting a thread with 10 visuals, think ethereal eyes gazing heavenward or slick futuristic scenes, he just dropped a cool. These are user-made animations and images powered by Grok, showing off its creative muscle. It's like he's saying, look at what folks are building with our tools. Go try it. Later that morning, he flagged an update to the Grok app, version 1.1.51. The post he quoted mentioned fixes for email login bugs, sharper photo animation effects, and multi-select for uploaded pictures. Elon's take? A crit.
Oops.
No fluff, just letting you know XAI is grinding away, making the app better for users. By afternoon, things got personal. Elon quoted his mom, May Musk, who shared a Grok-generated video of her and her twin sister as kids in 1950s South Africa, scaring folks with snakes on the sidewalk. May called it twins up to mischief, and Elon's reaction was a surprised, snakes? It's a fun blend of family memories and AI magic. Grok Imagine bringing those old stories to life. Still in the afternoon, he jumped into a thread about Grok companions, those AI characters like Ani. Fans were asking for more control, like having the companion look
Oh, I haven't
down or
tried
move
those.
their hands freely. Elon's reply? A simple,
It might be an
coming.
iOS
Sounds like XAI's
only
already cooking up
feature.
ways to make these digital buddies more lifelike. Capping off the afternoon, he boosted a recruiting post from an Imagine team member, hyping their work and calling for applicants. Elon added that Grok Imagine is still in beta, version 0.1, with massive room for improvement. He urged folks to join and help make it the best imagination amplifier in the known universe.
It is fun to
Classic
play with.
Elon, big dreams, always hunting for talent.
Yeah.
That's the pulse of Elon's posts. Heavy focus on XAI, from app upgrades and community creativity to family moments powered by tech. No wild curveballs this time,
Yeah.
just steady progress on the AI front. If you're into tools that spark imagination with serious smarts, XAI's worth watching. That's it for now, folks. Back to the studio. What do you think? Ready to jump into Grok's world? Let us know.
Yeah, not one of the more impressive updates to where, it's hard to find like truth and what today could be referring to, especially this week because it's been a lot on AI, which I do believe that AI is going to play a really important role in the future. It keeps reminding me of Isaiah 11 that talks about the divine knowledge being as abundant as the sea that covers the land. And that's what AI really has the potential to become, because AI, as it stands today, is a very well organized database. It's a very efficient database that allows you to get answers better than we've ever been able to get today, or up till to this day and age. And it's only going to get better. The more compute. Well, and it's interesting because the models get better. It used to be that you had really needed to have really powerful machines in order to run large language models, but they just released this was actually one of the Chinese LLMs, released a model that it has the capabilities of, like, I think is a 20 billion parameter LLM, but you can just run it on a standard laptop. So they're getting better, they're getting more efficient, and the things that we're able to do with these, really, they're just prediction engines. That's why you can use it with art, like you can use it with full self-driving because it can predict what it needs to do. So it's, to to somebody who doesn't understand how they work, it can seem scary and it can seem like this has the potential to take over the world.
I can't reach the internet right now. Check your modem or router connections and try again.
My Google just apparently lost internet. Did I lose internet? I have a lot of backup internet, so I may not have lost internet. I don't think I did. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason to be afraid of AI, and there's nothing to be afraid of right now because the things that are happening by design. We were told that these things were going to take place, and they're taking place. We're literally seeing prophecy be fulfilled. All right, so let's kick off some of these. Let's watch some of these videos, and we're going to start with Kevin O'Leary. He's going to talk about Steve Jobs, and then relate it to Elon Musk. He's going to show you how to understand powerful, people who deal with high levels of pressure, who are highly successful. And then we'll go from there. This kind of get a glimpse into Elon Musk, because on days when he's just, working on technology, it's hard to see the truth aspect in it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So let's move over here to this guy.
Work for Steve Jobs in the early 90s, making all of his educational software. And by the way, not a nice guy. Not a nice guy. He would say to a room full of people, Kevin, I don't give a shit what the students want or the parents think or anybody thinks. It's what I want. They don't know what they want till I tell them what they want. And I said, Steve, you sound like such an asshole. You have no idea what that sounds like. He says, no, that's how it is, Kevin. Now, are you making money with me? Am I your fastest growing OEM? Have we not been wildly successful and continue to be? I said, yes, Steve, that's true. He said, then fucking shut up and do what I say. There's a concept that he understood that very few people focused on back then in the early 90s of signal-to-noise ratio. What was so brilliant about Jobs, his vision of signal was the top 3 to 5 things you have to get done in the next 18 hours. Not your vision for the business next week or next month or next year, just the next 18 hours you're awake. You're going to get those 3 things or those 5 things done that you have deemed critical for your mission. They must get done today. Anything that stops you from doing that is the noise. So this signal-to-noise ratio to be successful for Steve Jobs was 80-20. 80 signal, 20 noise. And I knew that to be true with him because he would email me at 2:30 in the morning, expect me to get back to him, because back then we didn't have texts, it was all email. He was right. He was right. And the only other person that I've seen that has a higher ratio than that is Elon Musk. He has no noise. He does not deal with noise. He is 100% signal, 24 seconds, every cycle. I mean, the guy is just 60 seconds of every minute, 60 minutes of every hour. The 18 hours he's awake, it's all signal. I used to work for...
Elon Musk is highly focused. And we all have what we have because God has given us what we have. That includes our brain and our capabilities. So he's given us the mental capacities to do what we do and the resources in order to fuel those capabilities. Elon Musk stands alone. I have to remind myself on these days when it's just like he's going hardcore on Grok Imagine, like, how can this play a role in the end times? It does. As hard as I try to find who fits better, he keeps coming up. And I think you'll see that as you hear him talk a little bit more in some of these other videos.
Put myself in the mind of say, someone who would want to do crime, because I don't want to do crime. So I have a hard time imagining why would somebody do that. And I believe that one should have deep empathy to say, like, what is the greater good for society? Is it better to incarcerate violent criminals and prevent them from hurting people, or to let them loose and allow those people to be hurt? And I think the latter is much worse. My mom lives in New York, and it's my mom at this point has gone from being Democrat to Republican, and her friends in New York are having the same experience, because you know what'll turn you from a Democrat to a Republican pretty fast is getting punched in the face while you walk down the street.
Yes. For no reason.
Yes. And then no action being taken against those who hurt you.
And that happened to your mom?
Not to my mother, but to 3 of her friends this year. I was like, I can't.
So he's a deeply empathetical person, and you see that as a commonality when he's speaking. Oop. Oh shoot! I stopped sharing. Click the wrong button. Yep, this one.
Offense at those who put the appearance of goodness over the reality of it. The thing that we should be concerned about is we should have empathy for the thousands of people that are dying every day in trenches, for no movement in the lines. So the borders remain the same. For the past 2 years, thousands of people have died every week for nothing. For what? And those who virtue signal and say, oh, we can't give in to Russia, but have no solution to stopping thousands of kids dying every day. They just want that to continue forever. I have contempt for such people. I don't want to make that clear.
Yeah. So you're optimistic.
Because they're virtue signaling, and their lack of a solution means that kids don't have a father. It means that parents lost a son. For what? Nothing. I take...
All right. This is in regards to Doge.
Reaction.
This one is in regard.
We're coming for you. I did what needed to be done. The violent antibody reaction, and I'm not someone who's ever committed violence, and yet massive violence was committed against my companies. Massive violence was threatened against me.
This is one of those things that's just like, paying attention to the attributes of the two witnesses. The two witnesses, whatever it is that they're doing, pisses people off, and it makes people want to come after them, to hurt them, and to kill them. So that's something that is an indicator of who these anointed are, which is, I see this and it's just like, he's definitely plays a role in these end time events.
Who are these people? Why would they do that? How wrong can they be? They're on the wrong side of history, and that's an evil thing to do. To go and damage some poor innocent person's car, to threaten to kill me. What's wrong with these people? I've not harmed anyone, so something needs to be done about them. And a number of them are going to prison, and they deserve it. And more will.
You're referring to the attacks on Tesla showrooms, but I think...
Yeah. Firing bullets into showrooms and burning down cars is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Those people will go to prison, and the people that funded them and organized them will also go to prison. Don't worry.
But wouldn't you...
We're coming for you. I did what needed to.
Yeah. It is really weird because as somebody who drives a Tesla, and I love my Tesla, I recommend Tesla to anybody who is looking to get a new car. I find it to be incredibly safe, and I'm a minimalist. I love the minimalist design. Some people don't like the minimalist design, but I do. My wife is kind of on the fence. She's just learned to love the cars and puts up with the minimalism, but I love the minimalism. But incredibly safe cars. You cannot roll them over. Some of them are bulletproof, like the Cybertruck. But it's really interesting because literally January 20th, which is the day that I use, by the way, for my day count for the 1,260 days, just because I don't have another day to pick a better day right now, other than when these two men received the power and authority that they basically have. Elon Musk with Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, and Donald Trump with the office of the president. If I find another day, I'll update the count and I'll make sure to correct everything. But for lack of having a starting point, I had to just pick something because we're in this window and we need to be paying attention. But it's really interesting because starting January 20th, the sentiment towards Teslas and Elon Musk changed. We went from people wanting to talk to us and excited that we drove Teslas to people flipping us off, cursing us out, threatening to, harm our vehicles because of Elon Musk, which definitely is one of the attributes of the two witnesses, tormenting people. It's very comparable to Trump derangement syndrome.
To be done. The violent.
Oh, we already watched that one. Let's watch. Okay, so now something that I've been doing is let's move off of the two witnesses, and I want to show you some videos of Jews who are eagerly looking for the Messiah. And I keep saying that everybody is looking for the Messiah, and most of us are aware, those who are Christians are, especially if you're on this channel, we're in the end times. Maybe you don't agree with some of the stuff I say, maybe you don't agree with some of the data or the timeline because you want to hold to the narrative of what it was that you were taught. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinions. But one thing is true is, all of us are looking for the Messiah, and I thought it'd be interesting to watch a couple of these videos. So let's look at some of these rabbis that I've been listening to lately.
Describes Mashiach as a king. A king could have both a political meaning, or it could be a spiritual meaning, or it could be a blend of both. Mashiach will use the levels of political leadership and powers at the beginning of his leadership, but ultimately the ultimate role of Mashiach is to reach a stage where he doesn't need to enforce the law, enforce the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs. Rather, we will solely need Mashiach to be able to connect to Hashem on a deeper level than we will be able to do on our own, which will be accomplished through being connected and nullified to Mashiach.
I thought this one was interesting because of the political nature, and it reminds me of what Trump is doing. Is the let's look at this in one of my slides. I think it's this one. Let's go there. Let's just, why are you not sharing this tab? There you go. All right. Can you guys see that? Let me go double check. Yeah. All right. I want to show you something. So this is the G7. And the G7 is made up of these countries: the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan. And so that's 7 heads. I believe that the G7 is very likely the beast that rises from the sea, because it's made up of countries that have presidents and vice presidents and ministers as their leaders. So the United States would have 2 crowns, president and vice president. Canada would have 1 crown, the prime minister. United Kingdom, 1 crown is a prime minister. So the crown determines the power, whether the person has any real power, because there are other offices in these countries that have 0 power. They're simply symbolic. So you have like primary office, president, real power. Primary office here, prime minister, president, chancellor is the one with real power, prime minister, and prime minister. And the secondary offices, vice president actually has some real power in the United States. The governor general, that is a secondary office, but it's just ceremonial. Same thing with the United Kingdom. The monarch is ceremonial. A lot of people are looking at King Charles in the United Kingdom. He doesn't really have any power. It's the prime minister who has the power. So anyway, you can get to 10 crowns here. So you got 2 crowns for the United States, 1 for Canada, 1 for United Kingdom, 2 crowns for France, because president and prime minister both have power. Germany, you've got the chancellor. You've got a prime minister and a president in Italy, and in Japan, you've got 1 crown. What I believe we're looking at here, and this is keying off the tail of that video about Mashiach will work within the politics. And we know that from Revelation 13 that the first beast that rises from the sea has a head wound, a mortal head wound. It's interesting with what Donald Trump is doing right now is I believe that it is breaking from what we've seen the G7 doing in the past. And I'm wondering if that's not the mortal head wound, because let's look at Bible Gateway. Revelation 13. And I always got to remember to share the tab. There you go. Okay. So in Revelation 13, so it says, Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns. I think that's the G7. And then those who are in charge are the ones with 10 crowns. And on his head, a blasphemous name. That I haven't figured out yet. I could be wrong about it. G7 just happens to fit with most of this. Now, the beast, which I saw, was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. I almost wonder if that's not China. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded. I wonder if that's not the Trump administration, because that would be one of the heads, 7 heads, right? The United States being one of those heads. If what Trump is doing right now in order to, I believe, prepares for the Messiah, if that isn't a mortal head wound to that first beast, and his deadly wound was healed. I wonder if that's not when the 2 witnesses are killed and left dead in the street for 3.5 days and then caught up to the throne. And all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like the beast, who is able to make war with him? And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And he was given authority to continue 42 months. So this would be, I believe, the Great Tribulation. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and overcome them, and authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him. This tells me that I almost wonder if there hasn't been a rapture event before this. But it's interesting because he's given authority to persecute the saints for 42 months. So, yeah, I don't know. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb slain, from the foundation of the world. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. This could be when the 2 witnesses are killed. So if we look at this timeline over here, see, you've got like at the end of this administration. So this is also keys off of the anchor point, because we're already 7 years past the Revelation 12 sign, which tells me we probably have 7 years left because God works in 7-year cycles. So if it all didn't happen in the first 7 years, but only half the stuff happened, that means that the other half of the stuff happens in the final 7 years, which is very likely Daniel's Daniel's last week. So when we're done with this 42 months, this 3.5 years, I think this is when the beast from the earth rises. So here was the beast from the sea, which I'm thinking is probably the G7, and the beast from the earth, US and UK, very likely. So the US would be because Trump is no longer in power. So something's going to happen to him, which will be interesting. That'll be an indication of if I got it right about the 2 witnesses, if something happens to them both on the same day. If something happens to Trump and somebody else like Netanyahu, then I'll be the first to admit I was wrong. But it'll be a big fat "I told you so" day. Yeah. Anyway, so let's listen to some more of these videos. I just wanted to point that out about the head wound. I haven't brought that up in a while. All right, let's go over here. Oh, I found another one on Elon Musk.
it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it.
See, I wonder if that's not the persecution of the saints that we just read about, where the beast is given authority to persecute the saints for 42 months. We keep hearing Elon mention somebody is funding the hatred, somebody is funding the riots, somebody is funding the attacks. I wonder if that's not the G7.
Because this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. It turns out when you take away people's, what the money they're receiving fraudulently, they get very upset, and they basically want to me because I'm stopping their fraud, and they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping this terrible waste and corruption in the government. And I guess they're bad people. Bad people will do bad things. I mean, it's really come as.
See what I mean by head wound? So I think this is the head wound, and as a result, the other 6 heads are very likely somebody in power is funding the opposition. Oh, got some more on Elon. Here's another one.
Here, I have enough enemies. I would like to have a smaller number of companies that want me to die. That would be great.
I'm just kind of illustrating that people want him dead. One of the attributes of the 2 witnesses. All right, let's listen to a couple more of these rabbis. This guy's interesting because he's talking about the Mashiach.
So amazing that he does everything so gently that people can go around doing their business and not even realize that the entire reality, the entire world just changed this weekend. We're actually living in a complete different reality. It's absolutely stunning.
See how they're looking for Mashiach?
If you choose not to pay attention, you can go by your day doing whatever you're doing. But Mashiach, who is in full force right now, is actually just transformed the entire world. Mashiach is...
and there's a lot of truth to that. That reminds me of Revelation. Let's go back over here to our Bible. Oh, you can see it if I keep my face on the screen. It reminds me of Revelation 4 and 5. And after these things I look and behold, let's see, immediately before the throne. No, it's in 5. And I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written inside and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. Then I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the scroll and to loose its seals. And no one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the scrolls or to look at it. So I wept much, because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll or to look at it. But one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has prevailed to open the scroll and to loose its 7 seals." And so this is how we know who is doing these things right now. Who's somehow, like he says that Mashiach is in full force, full effect. This tells me that wherever Mashiach is, he warned us. He told us ahead of time that these things were going to happen, and he's making these things happen. The root of David has prevailed to open the scroll and to loosen its 7 seals. We're still in the process of that. 3 seals are left to be unsealed. And I looked, and behold, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as though it had been slain, having 7 heads and 7 eyes, which the 7 eyes, I believe, are... anyway, we won't get into that, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. Then he came and took the scroll out of the right hand of him who sat on the throne. Now when he had taken the scroll, the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, each having a harp and golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song, saying, "You are worthy to take the scroll." And I think this was the Revelation 12 sign. I think that's what the Revelation 12 sign was saying, is, there was the birth, a birth had happened, and then finally one who was worthy to open the scroll was found, and then that's when we saw the started to see the signs in heaven. And they sang a new song, because the singing the new song is associated with the heavens declare the glory, or the firmament. Let's see. Yeah, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament show his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night shows knowledge. In that same section, it talks about the song they sing, and I think maybe the song changed when Mashiach started opening the seals. "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, for you were slain and have redeemed us to God by your blood, out of every tribe and tongue and people and nation, and have made us kings and priests to our God, and we shall reign on the earth." And I looked, and I heard the voice of many angels around the throne, the living creatures, and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory." That's what's happening, I think, is we're in the process of this world changing to the kingdoms of this world will be the kingdom of his God and the Lamb. "And every creature which is in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and such as are in the sea, and all that are in them, I heard saying, Blessing and honor and glory and power be to him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever." And so on. So, yep. So what this guy is saying is true, is Mashiach is doing this, and he's going to return soon. Here's another one.
Define God. Sort of by definition, we cannot define God. God is infinite. Any definition or description would inherently be limiting. That's the easy answer. No. But if you want me to get as close...
Oh, this is just random. A rabbi I've been started listening to. I thought this was interesting on how he was trying to describe God.
Close as we can get with human ideas and human words, I'll offer you the following. The best God concept that we as humans can wrap our minds around is the idea of unconditional existence. That means God is because he is. Everything else exists not because it exists. It exists because something else brought it into existence, namely God. So something that exists because something else brought it into existence, its existence is conditional. Conditional upon what? Upon being brought into existence. God's existence, in contrast, does not have an antecedent, does not have a cause. God rather exists just because that is what he is. He is existence. In contrast to created beings, which are conditional existence, God uniquely and alone is unconditional or absolute existence. If I had to give a definition to God, I would say absolute existence, that which just is. Creation, as we know it, all the stuff you see, you look around, it doesn't have to be here. And in fact, it wasn't always here and won't always be here. That's the nature of conditional existence, which all created existence is. God always was, always will be, and in fact, there is no theoretical construct in which God does not exist. And I'll go even further and say that if you can imagine a God who even in theory could not exist, then that by definition is not a God concept. You're not thinking of God, you're thinking of something else. Can you define God?
I love that. I love the cyclical reasoning of those things, but that's pretty good. I think. Oh, this is interesting. This is a rabbi who's recognizing Trump as a tool of Mashiach. Let's look at this guy.
Exciting me is that without a question, based on everything we've been seeing, that President-elect Trump is an agent, is an instrument of Mashiach. It's an instrument of God, and Mashiach's power is the power of Hashem, that Hashem is channeling through Mashiach Tzidkenu to dominate the leaders of the world, and that they should do the will of Hashem, including including the elimination of Iran and threatening and frightening all those that oppose Israel. Israel would have been, without a question, as we discussed in last class, in mortal danger had Trump not won the election.
This was really, I think this was before he took off.
What's exciting me is that without a question, based on
Yeah. Let's see. And then one last one here. Proof that Iran shows clear signs of the arrival of Mashiach. When was this? Oh, that's a month ago. Anyway, that's what I have for you guys tonight. So we've got Donald Trump, an instrument of the Mashiach. Likewise, Elon Musk, whether he knows it or not, is an instrument of the Mashiach. Empathy is important. I have a good friend who's writing a book on empathy. He's going to be coming on the show soon to talk about it. I'm currently reading about it, but there's narcissism and empathy. Narcissism is when you're looking inward to you being God, your own God, caring only about yourself. Empathy is when you look to God and look to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. That's empathy. And right now we see two men who have been blessed by God who are doing that, who are speaking the truth in the face of opposition. And that truth is like a light in darkness. It is dispelling the darkness, which is the torment. That is the torment. Their words and their actions are stopping the rain of lies and deception, and it's bringing forth the sun, which is causing new growth and preparing the way for the Mashiach. God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom.